Good morning, everybody, and welcome again to the third emission of this year, 2026. I hope you are doing well. I'm doing well. Always streaming a little bit before going to work, to the hospital. And what we have today? Let's see. We have the first thing line up is the mythology of conscious AI. The second one is why your brain needs everyday rituals. I think we're gonna start with this one. And I would replace the word ritual by ceremony or with ceremony, because we have to differentiate the idea of repetitive behaviors from animals. So we can say rituals are in animals and human behavior, and ceremonies are only for human behavior, for human repetitive behavior. If I'm clear, I hope that makes sense. So, then we have MIT researchers have officially outlined a roadmap for the first real causal probe of human consciousness. So they're trying to define or prove what human consciousness is. Let's start with the first article, and that is, your brain needs everyday rituals. Rituals serve psychological functions that go far beyond mere habit or traditions. A few years ago, during a particularly chaotic period at work, I started making my morning coffee the exact same way every day. Same mug, same timing, same 2 minutes of silence while it brewed. It wasn't intentional. I was just too overwhelmed to think about it. But something interesting happened. Those 2 minutes became the calmest part of my day. Even when everything else felt out of control, I had this one predictable moment that somehow made the rest manageable. I had just experienced the power of rituals completely by accident. And it wasn't until I left tech to study neuroscience that I understood why that simple coffee routine had been so effective. Rituals are some of the most powerful technologies invented by humankind. Most people think of rituals as elaborate religious ceremonies or ancient traditions. Sorry. But your life is actually filled with them. Waiting for everyone to observe before eating, giving presents for birthdays and holidays, saying hello and exchanging script pleasantries, clapping at the end of a performance. All of these are rituals woven throughout our days. Since the dawn of time, humans have used rituals to acknowledge one another, signal belonging, mark beginning and endings, of course, like funerals, and more. In fact, I believe rituals are some of the most powerful technologies invented by humankind. Think of them as repetitive, patterned, often culturally transmitted software that serves psychological functions that go far beyond mere habit or tradition. The psychology and neuroscience of rituals. When people face stress, danger, or major life changes, rituals provide a sense of stability through structured actions. Having something concrete to do when everything appears uncertain reduces anxiety and feelings of helplessness. This sense of agency extends to rituals, broader social functions. Shared routines make cooperation easier in times of stress. When a team huddles before a game, the action signals membership and commitment to the group. Rituals also help us make sense of life's most challenging moments. They mark transitions, such as birth, puberty, marriage, and death, and help us navigate events that feel overwhelming. They also support us as we forge a new identity through rites of passage. Rites or rites, I don't know. That's why graduation ceremonies don't just celebrate achievement, they help transform a person's identity from student to graduate. Lastly, rituals transmit culture across generations. Children learn gratitude from family dinner traditions, not from lectures about being thankful. Repeatedly doing something together works better than just talking about it. Rituals are like a software upgrade for your nervous system. They affect your brain and body in 3 specific ways. Calm. Rituals help quiet the brain's threat detection system, especially the amygdala. When that system calms down, we feel more grounded. This is one reason repeating familiar sequences of actions helps during chaotic transitions. Second, clarity. Predictable steps activate parts of the prefrontal cortex involved in planning, which reduces mental load as your brain doesn't have to constantly decide what comes next. These make challenging tasks feel more manageable, especially under stress. Number 3. Connection. When people move or speak in sync, the brain releases bonding chemicals such as oxytocin or endogenous opioids. These make social interactions feel warmer and more trusting. That's why shared rituals create a sense of us and a sense of belonging to something bigger than one person. Most rituals are inherited from the culture around us. We simply adopt what we see others doing. But here's the part I find most exciting. You don't have to copy-paste rituals from others. You can consciously design rituals that serve your specific needs. Yes, just like taking control of your day-to-day life, with small changes. The smaller the change in your routine, the easier to integrate it to your unconscious automatic pilot. How to design your own rituals. Creating personal rituals that serve your specific needs only takes a bit of observation, experimentation, and reflection. Start with observation. Notice the moments in your day when you feel scattered, stressed, or disconnected. These transition points are perfect opportunities for designing a new ritual. To me personally, is when my work ends and I have to come back to home, that is another small town city 30 kilometers from the big city. That used to be my most difficult, stress, desperate moment of the day because I want to be home right now. But just last week I started to take another attitude and forcing me not to be harsh, rash at that moment, and taking it with calm, maybe with an ice cream, or something. Next, experiment. Pick one specific moment in your day and try a simple ritual. Maybe it's making your morning coffee the same way each day, arranging your desk before work, I stream before work, or taking 3 deep breaths before important meetings, or washing your face. The key is choosing something small enough to stick with yet meaningful enough to feel intentional. Finally, reflect and adjust. After a week or 2, ask yourself, does this ritual actually help? Does it feel natural or forced? Pretend to be a scientist and answer these questions from a place of curiosity, experimentation, of course. Tweak as needed. Yeah. The eternal work of recalibrating. The most effective personal rituals are simple enough to remember, specific enough to feel meaningful, and flexible enough to adapt to different circumstances. Nice! Start small with one daily ritual, then gradually expand your toolkit. These repeated patterns of action will help you actively program your brain for resilience, clarity, and connection. Use them before exams, competitions, or challenging conversations. Keep experimenting and adapting them as you and your circumstances change. Your brain is already wired to respond to rituals. You just need to give it the right patterns to follow. Beautiful article. I hope you like it. I like it. Let's go to the next one. Our next item for today is the mythology of conscious AI. Let's go to the text. By Anil Seth. Very recent article. Let's start. For centuries, people have fantasized about playing God by creating artificial versions of human beings. This is a dream reinvented with every breaking wave of new technology. With genetic engineering came the prospect of human cloning, and with robotics that of human-like androids. The rise of artificial intelligence is another breaking wave, potentially a tsunami. The AI systems we have around us are arguably already intelligent, at least in some ways. They will surely get smarter still. But are they, or could they ever be conscious? And why would that matter? Perfect questions. Let's see what this person has to say and share. The cultural history of synthetic consciousness is both long and mostly unhappy. Sorry. From Josille the Golem, the Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, HAL 9000 in 2001, A Space Odyssey, Ava in Ex Machina, and Clara in the Sun and the Sun, the dream of creating artificial bodies and synthetic minds that both think and feel rarely ends well. Yes, at least not for the humans involved. One thing we learn from these stories: if artificial intelligence is on a path toward real consciousness, or even toward systems that persuasively seem to be conscious, there's plenty at stake, and not just disruption in job markets. Some people think conscious AI is already here. In a 2022 interview with the Washington Post, Google engineer Blake Lemoine made a startling claim about the AI system he was working on, a chatbot called LAMDA. He claimed it was conscious. He claimed it was conscious, that it had feelings and was, in an important sense, like a real person. Despite a flurry of media coverage, Lemoine wasn't taking all that seriously. Google dismissed him for violating its confidentiality policies, and the AI bandwagon rolled on. But the question has not gone away. No, but the question he raised has not gone away. Firing someone for breaching confidentiality is not the same as firing them for being wrong. Yes, correct. As AI technologies continue to improve, questions about machine consciousness are increasingly being raised. David Chalmers, one of the foremost thinkers in this area, has suggested that conscious machines may be possible in the not-too-distant future. Geoffrey Hinton, a true AI pioneer and recent Nobel Prize winner, thinks they exist already. In late 2024, a group of prominent researchers wrote a widely publicized article about the need to take the welfare of AI systems seriously. For many leading experts in AI and neuroscience, the emergence of machine consciousness is a question of when, not if. Wonder why? So sure they are. Uh-oh, my computer is about to crash. I think we're gonna go on until morale crash. How we think about the prospects for conscious AI matters. How we think about the prospects for consciousness AI matters. It matters for the AI systems themselves, since if they are conscious, whether now or in the future, with consciousness come moral status, the potential for suffering, and perhaps rights. The old trick of AI will have same rights as humans, or similar. Let's see. It matters for us too. What we collectively think about consciousness in AI already carries enormous importance, regardless of the reality. If we feel that our AI companions really feel things, our psychological vulnerabilities can be exploited, our ethical priorities distorted, and our minds brutalized. Treating consciousness-seeming machines as if they lack feelings is a psychologically unhealthy place to be. And if we do endow our AI creations with rights, we may not be able to turn them off, even if they act against our interests. Okay, great point. Very eloquently expressed. Perhaps, most of all, the way we think about consciousness AI matters for how we understand our own human nature and the nature of the conscious experiences that make our lives worth living. If we confuse ourselves too readily with our machine creations, we not only overestimate them, we also underestimate ourselves. The temptations of conscious AI. Why might we even think that AI could be conscious? A good question. After all, computers are very different from biological organisms, and the only things most people currently agree are conscious are made of meat, not metal. I don't know. The first reason lies within our own psychological infrastructures. As humans, we know we are conscious and like to think we are intelligent. So we find it natural to assume the two go together. Intelligence and consciousness. But just because they go together in us doesn't mean that they go together in general. Intelligence and consciousness are different things. Intelligence is mainly about doing, solving a crossword puzzle, assembling some furniture, navigating a tricky family situation, walking to the shop. All involve intelligent behavior of some kind. A useful general definition of intelligence is the ability to achieve complex goals by flexible means. There are many other definitions out there, but they all emphasize the functional capacities of a system, the ability to transform inputs into outputs to get things done. If we confuse ourselves too readily with... that I already read. And it was hard. An artificially intelligent system is measured by its ability to perform intelligent behavior of some kind. Though not necessarily in a human-like form. The concept of artificial general intelligence, by contrast, explicitly references human intelligence. It is supposed to match or exceed the cognitive competencies of human beings. There's also artificial superintelligence, ASI, which happens when AI bootstraps itself beyond our comprehension and control. So this artificial superintelligence tends to crop up in the more existentially fraught scenarios for our possible future. Consciousness, in contrast to intelligence, is mostly about being. Half a century ago, the philosopher Thomas Nagel famously offered that an organism has conscious mental states if and only if there is something it is like to be that an organism. What? Again, sorry. An organism has conscious mental states if and only if there is something it is like to be that organism. I don't get it. Consciousness is the difference between normal wakefulness and the oblivion of deep general anesthesia. Again, this I like it. Consciousness is the difference between normal wakefulness and the oblivion of deep general anesthesia. Okay? I'm not sure. Is the difference between... Let's see. It is the experimental aspect of the brain function, and especially of perception, the colors, shapes, tastes, emotions, thoughts, and more that give our lives texture and meaning. The blueness of the sky on a clear day, the bitter tang and head rush of your first coffee. AI systems can reasonably lay claim to intelligence in some form, since they can certainly do things, but it is harder to say whether there is anything it is like to be. But can you see that word? Is anything it is like to be ChatGPT. It looks like this was written by an AI. The propensity to bundle intelligence and consciousness together can be traced to three backed-in psychological biases. The first is anthropocentrism. This is the tendency to see things through the lens of being human, to take the human example as definitional rather than as one example of how different properties might come together. The second is human exceptionalism, our unfortunate habit of putting the human species at the top of every pile, and sometimes in a different pile altogether, perhaps closer to angels and gods than to the other animals, as in the medieval Scala Naturae. And in the present by Christians too. And the third is anthropomorphism. This is the tendency to project human-like qualities onto non-human things based on what may be only superficial similarities, like cars. Why cars has two lights in front, like two eyes, and it appears to have a mouth too. Taking together these biases explain why it's hardly surprising that when things exhibit abilities, we think of as distinctively human, such as intelligence. We naturally imbue them with other qualities we feel are characteristically or even distinctively human. Understanding, mindedness, like intention, I think, and consciousness too. One aspect of intelligent behavior that's turned out to be particularly effective at making some people think that AI could be conscious is language. This is likely because language is a cornerstone of human exceptionalism. Large language models like OpenAI's ChatGPT or Anthropic's Claude have been the focus of most of the excitement about artificial consciousness. Nobody, as far as I know, has claimed that DeepMind's AlphaFold is conscious, even though under the hood it is rather similar to an LLM. All these systems run on silicon and involve artificial neural networks and other fancy algorithmic innovations such as transformers. AlphaFold, which predicts protein structures rather than words, just doesn't pull our psychological strings in the same way. The language that we ourselves use matters too. Consider how normal it has become to say that LLMs hallucinate when they spew falsehoods. Hallucinations in human beings are mainly conscious experiences that have lost their grip on reality, uncontrolled perceptions, one might say. Yes, I would say that too. We hallucinate when we hear voices that aren't there or see a dead relative standing at the foot of the bed. When we say, wow, what a scary hallucination that is. When we say that AI systems hallucinate, we implicitly confer on them a capacity for experience. If we must use a human analogy, it would be far better to say that they confabulate. In humans, confabulation involves making things up without realizing it. It is primarily about doing rather than experiencing. Wow, great differentiation or distinction, yes. When we identify conscious experience with seemingly human qualities like intelligence and language, we become more likely to see consciousness where it doesn't exist, and to miss seeing it where it does. We certainly should not just assume that consciousness will come along for the ride as AI gets smarter. And if you hear someone saying that real artificial consciousness will magically emerge at the arbitrary threshold of AGI, that's a sure sign of human exceptionalism at work. There are other biases in play too. There's the powerful idea that everything in AI is changing exponentially, whether it's raw compute as indexed by Moore's law or the new capabilities available with each new iteration of the big tech foundation models. Things surely are changing quickly. Exponentially growth has the psychological destabilizing property that what's ahead seems impossible steep. and what's behind seems irrelevantly flat. Crucially, things seem this way wherever you are on the curve. That's what makes it exponential. Because of this, it's tempting to feel like we are always on the cusp of a major transition. And what could be more major than the creation of real artificial consciousness? But on an exponential curve, every point is an inflection point. Wow. Finally, there's the temptation of the techno-rapture. Techno-rapture? Wow, that's new for me. Early in the movie Ex Machina, the programmer Caleb says to the inventor Nathan, if you've created a conscious machine, it's not the history of man, that's the history of gods. If we feel we are at the technological historical transition and we happen to be one of its architects, then the Promethean lure must be hard to resist. The feeling of bringing to humankind that which was once the province of the divine. Again, the feeling of bringing to humankind that which was once the province of the divine. And with this singularity comes the signature rapture offering of immortality. The promise of escaping our inconveniently decaying biological bodies and living, or at least being, forever. Floating off to eternity in a silicon-enabled cloud. Oh, no, thank you. But some people would love to achieve that, right? Am I wrong? I don't think so. Jeff Bezos for sure want that. If he want to get it, I don't mind. Perhaps this is one reason why pronouncements of imminent machine consciousness seem more common within the technorati than... Technorati? What is technorati? Than outside of it. More cynically, fueling the idea that there's something semi-magical about AI may help share prices stay aloft and justify the sky-high salaries and levels of investment now seen in Silicon Valley. Did someone say bubble? Okay. In his book, More Everything Forever, Adam Becker describes the tendency to project consciousness into AI as a form of pareidolia, the phenomenon of seeing patterns in things, like a face in a piece of toast or Mother Teresa in the cinnamon bun. A ver? Okay, Mother Teresa, hello. On a cinnamon bun. This is an app description, but helping you recognize the power of our pareidolia inducing psychological biases is just the first step in challenging the mythology of conscious AI. To address the question of whether real artificial consciousness is even possible, we need to dig deeper. Oh, this continues. I cannot continue, people. I'm really sorry. I have to go to work. This is a long article. To be continued, I'm gonna post the link under the video in YouTube. So, I wish you a wonderful day. See you next one, I guess tomorrow or Saturday. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe Sunday or Monday. Goodbye, and thank you very much.
Come on and cry.